Well, I'm Bart, and I have a question.
Won't you please, please help me, help me, help me.
And of course, who better to phrase that question than my childhood heroes, John, Paul, Ringo, and George. And you might wonder, why do you have a question? I'll come to that later, but that's a good question, because this is Simon Sinek explaining his golden circle. And he says, well, it starts with why. So it's probably a good idea to focus a little bit on the why later on. But before that, I would like to get formally introduced. And so I'll introduce myself first, and then I would like to know who you are a little bit. I used to be a general practitioner in Werkendam, which is a beautiful little town on the river Merwede in the south of the Netherlands. That was quite exciting. We used to do deliveries on board of ships like these. Not much technology to help us there. But that wasn't exciting enough, so I went to Australia. I worked in primary and hospital healthcare in Australia for a little while, and came back to the Netherlands, and now I have three operations that I work for. One of the operations is Medicinfo. That's a healthcare innovation company in the south of the Netherlands, in Tilburg. My second operation is my research operation. I am associated with the Center for E-Health Research of the University of Tilburg. And my third operation, that's more my experimental operation. About 2 years ago, at the Reshape conference in Nijmegen, I started with Tweetspreekuur, which is a free primary care consultation service on Twitter. Did that together with Erik Jansen, who's also a GP. And we presented the results of our first year at Maastricht. And I was actually waiting, a bit anxious, because I was up for the Maastricht 2.0 award. And we won, and this got us to Stanford. And so last month we presented the results of our second year at Stanford. And so that's my experimental social media enterprise. And but now a little bit about you, because we have a combination of two multi-billion-dollar industries here. Healthcare does about 50 billion euros a year. I'm not sure about the gaming industry, but well, if those two can combine forces, I think we should really be able to fly. So I would like to know, and get you some exercise too, would you please stand up if you consider yourself part of the gaming industry? Do some thrombosis prevention here. Okay, so that's about a little over 50%. Thank you very much. Sit down, please. And now, would you please stand up if you consider yourself part of the healthcare industry? Okay, well, that's quite an even mix. Thank you very much. Is there anyone here who considers himself neither one? Would you please stand up? Okay, so we have some unusual suspects here too. Okay, thank you very much. So let's get back to Simon Sinek's question. It starts with why, and then how, and then what, and that's the three simple questions that I've been asking you here for the last couple of days, that I've been keeping in my mind, looking at the presentations that I was present. And of course, the first question is why. Well, here's why. You've heard that before. You've heard this before. Many more speakers have mentioned this. There's a big wave coming at us, and CSET, healthcare insurance, they of course they have their numbers right. This is the prevalence of a number of chronic diseases last year in 2010, and I've heard a few people mention 2030. as the year to watch, but it's a lot closer. So in 2020, these are going to be the numbers of chronic diseases, and of course you can understand that's quite an increase. So we need to think of a solution, and we need to think of it fast, because it's not that far ahead of us. Another why is the fact that we need behavior change in order to achieve our goals. And here's another one of my heroes, B.J. Fogg from Stanford, Persuasive Tech Lab. And he has a very simple model in which he explains behavior. And I saw him explain it in 90 seconds. And I'm going to see if I can do that also. It's a bit risky because there are a lot of psychologists in the room. But here's B.J. Fogg's Human Behavior 101 course in 90 seconds. This is the formula. Behavior consists of motivation, ability, and a good trigger. So you need to want something, you need to be able to do something, and there's got to be something to get you going. Well, here's motivation. The low is on the bottom, the high is on the top. And here is ability. The hard is on the left, and the easy is on the right. And this is the trigger threshold. Anything that's on the left where it says no, you're not going to do. And anything that's on the right where it says yes, you're probably going to do. Now, this is me. I need to do something, but I'm below the trigger threshold. So I can try to raise my motivation. That's what we do in healthcare. You need to stop smoking. You really need to stop smoking. You really need to stop smoking because it's good for you. You really need to stop smoking, otherwise you'll die. Do you think that's a very successful strategy? Probably not. Another strategy that's probably a lot more successful is make sure that it's easy. And the good thing is that if you look at this model, I think gaming can do both. It can make things easy by making them fun, by engaging people, by getting you in the flow. Because I learned this morning that fun is not enough. It's not just about funification of life, but get you in the flow, and of course, getting to the next level, getting your target is a very good motivator. So I think gaming can do a lot to get this model working. Okay, so now that we know two whys, the next question is, how are we going to do that? That's a little bit difficult question, I think. Do you know the movie Casablanca? It's a classic movie with Ingrid Bergman and Humphrey Bogart. In this movie, there's a French police captain, Louis Renault, and he has one solution for every problem.
Round up the usual suspects.
Round up the usual suspects. And that's exactly what we are doing in healthcare. We use the usual suspects, the experts, and we say, don't worry about a thing, we'll solve it for you. But we haven't been very successful. And most of these experts are, as psychologists, Karen Pine from Do Something Different, so aptly describes as male, pale, and slightly stale. So, don't look at me. And then if your board of directors looks like this, you may have a problem getting your innovation going. So, finding some unusual suspects might be a good idea. And of course, people from the gaming industry, from the perspective of healthcare, are very unusual suspects. The other thing, how to get to the how, is of course, think. And that's what I've been asking you for the last couple of days. This is my thinking hard hat. There is an expression in English that goes, put your thinking cap on. And when I was looking for a suitable thinking cap, I found this one. And this is called a hard hat. And because we not only we have to think, but we have to think hard. So then I thought, well, the thinking hard hat, that's a very appropriate thing. I wore this yesterday and asking you the why, the how, and the what questions. This is a replica of the original thinking hard hat, because the original thinking hard hat escaped from my custody at Eindhoven station. I left it in the train. It's probably now a free thinking hard hat somewhere in Maastricht, which is obviously is much improvement. So I made a replica. I'll put it on for you. And I have a little, well, these are the people that answered my questions. I had no refusals, so 3 cheers for you. Everybody was cooperative. Almost everybody was crazy enough to put the hat on. I hope I didn't ruin too many ladies' hairdo. And here's a small impression of what I filmed.
You can learn. You can learn when you play.
Not alone. Play together with other people.
Well, we have to bring patients and professionals together, I think.
Because gamers got something we don't have, and that's natural motivation.
If you can create the same system of rules that drives commercial games and implement it to healthcare, this would be a win-win situation for all of us.
I think it's not going to be something that happens very quickly.
Well, I'm a scientist, so I can do research.
Number one, fun. And then and number two, it's to improve your health.
Okay.
And pass these ideas on. I think that's very important.
Make a few mistakes, and well, all of a sudden we might hit the jackpot.
So we might hit the jackpot if we think hard, Remco. Make a few mistakes, but never mind. Yeah, a lot of different opinions, and but I think we're really getting somewhere, and my thinking hard hat helped a little bit. But there's, when you think about it, there's a giant unused resource. Because if we're gonna solve this problem, we better use all the resources that we can find. But there's an enormous unused resource, and I know of nobody that can explain that better than Dave de Bronkart, also known as e-patient Dave. And I'll show you his plea at Maastricht last April.
Please, to improve healthcare, let patients help. Let patients help. Let patients help. Let patients help. Thank you.
So there's 16 million people that can help us solve this problem. That should be a relief. Coming from the house to the third question, which is the what. What should we do? Well, there's a simple answer to that. We should make things that work. We should start with small things that work. And again, it's B.J. Fogg that explains this very good, I think, in a little video clip.
And it's all about creating a little machine that works. The mistake that most companies have
Maybe
made
turn up the volume.
is they build this huge, complicated thing. And they roll it out, and often it doesn't work, and they don't know why it doesn't work. So the metaphor here is to build something small that works and then expand.
Okay, so start with small things that work. We've heard that said before also during the last couple of days. Small things that worked for us also. When I was, I first saw this video when I was just about to give my presentation at the Maastricht Medicine 2.0 conference. And I was a little bit worried about that we really hadn't done that much with our tweetspreekuur. But then when I heard BJ Fogg say, well, start with small things that work, and that's exactly what we did. We did a small thing, but it worked. And this is another one. This is a clip from the Game By competition that we staged with, together with CZ Healthcare and the city of Eindhoven a couple of years ago. Kids racing on a bike, playing a video game at the same time. And I think why this is so special is, if you look at the boy, he's not from Western European descent. He's a little bit overweight. He's the type of kid that probably doesn't get picked first at the gymnastics class or at the soccer game, but he wins. And I think what he learned there is that gaming and exercising is fun and that it can get you somewhere. And during the finals of this competition, they were able to compete with Hans van Breukelen, the former goalkeeper of the Dutch soccer team, and Leontien van Moorsel, world and Olympic champion cycling. And again, the kids won because they were more able to navigate through the game. So there's combining the best of two worlds, ability to game and exercise. It's a small thing, but it works. And this is a group that's hard to get, because that's another thing that we need to focus on if we want to solve this problem. We don't want to solve it for the people that are going to be healthy anyway, the highly educated, well-off people. We need to get the people with the lower socioeconomic scores. And this Game By competition was done in the less well-off communities of Eindhoven. If you look at some trends, I think Ron Goodman from HealthTap might be somebody to watch and to follow. He tells us that the future of healthcare lies in making things personal. Some of the face-to-face relations in healthcare, contacts in healthcare need to be virtualized, and gamification can help to make the systems more engaging. But he also mentions another important thing that goes for healthcare, is that when you look at crowdsourcing, if you ask, well, you all know the statistics, about 80% of the people look up medical information on Google. But the next question, the answer to the next question, you don't hear that much. About 50% of the people say that what they found didn't really help them. And what the distinction between whether it is useful or not to most people is trust. And we've heard that mentioned several times also in the last couple of days. Trust is really the distinction factor. And I think healthcare is a high trust industry. People trust their doctor, believe it or not. No matter what happens, people usually trust their GP or their specialist. And I think trust is maybe not be the strongest point of the gaming industry. All the stories we've heard about games make you lazy, games make you violent. So if we want to combine the best of both worlds, we need to get the good factors of the gaming industry without losing the good factors of healthcare. And one of the strong factors of healthcare is trust.
Mind the gap.
So there is a gap, and we've seen it. I've seen it happen. I've seen it mentioned during the last days. There still is a gap between the gaming industry, especially the commercial gaming industry, and the healthcare industry, and the academia in healthcare. But I think these 2 days have definitely not broadened the gap. And I think we have been able to narrow the gap a little bit, and that's, I think, one of the great successes of this conference. Because if we are looking at the use of gaming in healthcare, we are looking at the meaningful use of gaming. And I think this is Brian McGowan, and he done some really good research on the use of social media by physicians. And what you see is that physicians use social media to teach, to provide information, to learn. And we've seen several examples of games that do just that. But physicians don't use social media to treat, or very rarely. And I think you can very easily replace social media by gaming. And I think for gaming, the same holds true. There are, of course, some good examples where games are actually used to treat people. But if you want to get doctors engaged in gaming, then I think you must enable them to use those games to do what they do every day, treat patients. So this is the take-home basket. The why. Because we need help, please, and fast. And because behavior change is the key factor. How are we going to do that? By rounding up some unusual suspects. I think we're doing that right now. And let patients help. And what are we going to do? We're going to do small things that work, and we're not going to lose trust. I think that's, to me, at least, from my point of view, sums up what I've learned and heard these last 2 days. So, thank you very much. Enough is enough. And this was my presentation.